Dude, I love that. I love when they say that. Yeah. Yeah. God bent the bullet directly in the direction of this Trump supporter. That's so funny. Yeah. God bent the bullet to the brain of his peasant supporter and not the God King, the son of God himself. Here is Benny Boy.
Incidents in modern American history, one of the darkest moments of my lifetime, when President Donald Trump was the victim.
You think this was one of the darkest moments in American history? 9/11. Like, what are you talking about? There are literally more tragic shootings of American political figures in Ben Shapiro's lifetime. This is before we even talk. It's not even in the top 10. It's not even on, like, Donald Trump being grazed with a bullet on his ear does not even reach the top 10 worst political moments in the last 10 years of American history. Okay? There are mass shootings and natural disasters that have taken place in the last decade that are infinitely worse than what just took place yesterday. You cannot try and turn this into 9/11, no matter how hard. I'm not even talking about MLK, okay?
Victim of an assassination attempt, and only thanks to the absolute grace of God is Donald Trump still alive. I found about this on Shabbat. It was Shabbat over where I am in Los Angeles. I was here to do Bill Maher's show, and my security came and told me what was happening. Obviously, I was just as shocked and appalled as everyone else. And this is indeed the end result of a temperature.
Am I to believe that, like, Benny doesn't have a Shabbos goy? Like, I don't understand. Like, he's describing that his Christian security came and told him anyway. Okay? Like, why you got to bring that up?
In the United States, that is absolutely appalling. This is an increase in rhetorical temperature pushed by the radical left, unfortunately, by the media, by the president of the United States, that has raised the temperature radically. Only the shooter is responsible for the shooting. But if you increase the temperature over and over and over again by saying the former president of the United States, current frontrunner in...
Yeah, you're right. People should not directly call out the former president for saying Hitlerian. Thank you, Ben. We should just stop. Also, Ben Shapiro has personally inspired literal acts of terror, not just in the United States of America, but in Canada, dude. What was it? Was it in Quebec? The dude who, like, a bunch of Muslims, he straight up said, I got radicalized by Ben Shapiro. So it is wild. Not Montreal, Quebec. Yeah.
Presidential race. Major party nominee is, in fact, Hitler. It is not particularly surprising. It is shocking, but it is not particularly surprising when someone goes and takes that seriously. We'll have more to say about who the shooter was in just one moment. First, for those who have not had all the details revealed to them as of yet, here was the timeline yesterday. So the shooting broke out, according to USA Today, just minutes before 6:15 p.m. in the city of Butler, which is about 35 miles north of Pittsburgh. President Trump, who has been doing rallies around the country over the past couple of weeks, was doing one in Pennsylvania, which, of course, is a battleground state. He took the stage at 6:03 p.m. Eastern time. At about 6:11 p.m., he was speaking.
Yep, here it is. Matthew Hasan is on it. I didn't cite mosque shooter. Conservative pundit Ben Shapiro insists the evil piece of human crap happened to be somebody who had seen some of my tweets. Ben Shapiro said of Quebec mosque shooter Alexander Bisonet. Like, how many right-wing terrorists, mass shooters, directly name right-wing political pundits in their manifestos, dude? How many? It's so funny because these guys who spend every day being like, stochastic terror isn't real, stochastic terror isn't real, are now turning around and being like, stochastic terrorism is real, and the only time it happens is when Democrats say Trump is Mango Mussolini. Stochastic terrorism isn't real when right-wing freaks professionally talk about how migrants and non-white people need to be murdered on a daily basis, and then one of their fans with a insane attitude and immediate access to guns takes action, writes a manifesto, directly drops references to these guys in the manifesto, references their ideology in the manifesto, basically giving like a perfect narrative that it's like, I watched these guys, I learned from them, and now I'm acting out on their desires. And it's like, whoa, that's fake, that's not, how could they have been, they're probably lying. It's probably a psyop. But yeah, dude, Joe Biden saying, Medicare, was the reason why this dude went and wanted to kill Donald Trump. Not because he was president for the past 4 years, not because of any number of insane shit he's personally said, not because of ease of access to weapons, not because he might have been a weirdo right-winger who might have been even more far-right than Donald Trump, as it has happened with the synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh. The guy who shot the synagogue in Pittsburgh literally was a Trump supporter who became even more far right. He was like, yeah, I was a Trump supporter, but like, you know, I realized that it's the Jews that are responsible for immigration and Trump wasn't doing anything about it. So I had to take matters into my own hands. This is 100% real. This is literally what the Pittsburgh synagogue shooter straight up said. Okay. He was a registered voter for Trump. He was a big Trump supporter, big fan of Donald Trump. And he was like, I hear what he's saying about the great replacement narratives. I hear what he's saying about immigrants coming over in these caravans. Okay. You can't boil a whole political party down to a few people. That goes both ways. Yes, you're absolutely correct about this. But I can look at an ideology, and right-wing ideology is almost always violent. Okay. Reactionary ideology puts the crosshairs on marginalized people as a part of its own like political messaging. They can try and reframe it in a context that suits civility purposes, right? You can talk about how, yes, black people must be shot by the police in a disproportionate rate because black people are violent. They have a violent culture. Some people will say black people are inherently violent because they're, you know, racially inferior. Other people will say, oh, I would never say black people are racially inferior. I'm just saying they're culturally inferior. And that's why they're too violent. And that's why the police has to come disproportionately. But ultimately, both of those arguments are still immediately reactionary and absolutely violent, whether you say it civilly or not. Do you get it? Stop saying clip it whenever I'm talking about right-wing framing on issues, okay? Don't be stupid.
And all of a sudden, audible pops could be heard. Here is the footage of President Trump speaking. The footage is shocking. So if you haven't seen it, just be warned. It is footage of an assassination attempt. It's going to be some of the most iconic footage in American history. This whole incident is an astonishing incident. The hand of God, there's no way, honestly, I don't have another way to put this. The hand of God is protecting President Trump here because...
Dude, I love that. I love when they say that. Yeah. Yeah. God bent the bullet directly in the direction of this Trump supporter. That's so funny. Yeah. God bent the bullet to the brain of his peasant supporter and not the God King, the son of God himself. Hello? Oh my God. Austin ordered food to the house and I'm literally watching him on the camera. The guy is like not bringing the food inside. Austin texts me, hey, don't be alarmed. I ordered food to the house. I'm watching him on the camera get out of the Uber and try to intercept the food while I'm trying to tell the food guy to bring it in, and he's not bringing it in. Anyway, let's continue.
Because there is no way that he should survive what just happened here. The shooter was extremely close to President Trump. We'll talk about the Secret Service failures in just one moment, but the shooter was extremely close. He was on a very nearby building to President Trump. He was using apparently an AR-15, which is in fact, so he had a rifle that is certainly well within range of the president. And he hits President Trump in the ear in this video. President Trump, if you play this video in slow motion, you will see he shifts.
I don't get it. Guns don't kill people. Why is he even bringing up the AR-15 stuff? Like, what's going on?
The positioning of his head, literally milliseconds before the bullet whizzes past his head and hits his ear. And it is that shift in head motion that saves his life. And in fact, we don't know that there were 3 at least fired. We know that because one person in the crowd was on the spot, apparently had his head blown away. I don't mean to be graphic, but it's an assassination attempt. That's what this is. 2 other people in the crowd were severely wounded. Here is the footage from yesterday afternoon, Butler, Pennsylvania.
Take a look at what happened.
You can hear the pops there. He goes down, he reaches for his ear. He realizes what's happening. Secret Service jumps on top of him. You can hear people screaming, obviously. And you can hear one final share. The crowd obviously crouching, trying to see what's happening. President Trump is on the ground. The Secret Service are on top of him.
Dude, I was just given information that Alexa is escaping the country. That's right. He's leaving the country far before he's like, I'm
I gotta
done.
leave before the Civil War starts.
I'm done. He said he's done with my. He's like, I made him work out too much.
What did I miss? What did they tell us the Chinese guy's name?
Yeah. Trump shooter ID'd. I didn't say anything wrong on my title. Albania's strongest soldier is leaving. Yeah, I know. It's
sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, we're watching Ben Shapiro cry about how Democrat words are violence.
Oh my God.
Democratic rhetoric is responsible ultimately for Donald Trump almost being and also that that the grace of God bent the bullet away from Donald Trump and into the brains of one of his most loyal fans.
God hated that guy.
Yeah.
Union President Trump said, "Let me get my shoes."
I wonder if he's going to link it to the campus protests. Surely. That's
dude,
that's
maybe
the main angle.
Oh, you know who is doing that? Fucking Bernie, not Bernie Sanders.
The crowd is
Is
obvious.
that how you say ID'd? Okay, I said ID'd. You guys suck. Oh my God, everyone in the chat is going crazy over how to spell ID'd. I'm gonna lose my mind. Who cares? 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 Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Okay.
Wait, I gotta quickly finish this booking and I'll come right back.
Oh, wow, okay. Oh, he's leaving. He's leaving already. That's crazy.
Obviously agitated. They're holding President Trump down to make sure that he's safe. Now they're going to start moving him.
Okay, I don't really care about Ben Shapiro reenacting these moments. Okay.
What you hear in that video is a few here, at least 3 from the shooter. Then you hear a couple of that are probably in response from the Secret Service snipers, shooter. And then a final, which very likely is Secret Service seeing movement of the shooter and shooting him once more. That's what that sort of sequence of probably is. The images are astonishing. I mean, just incredible images. This is a picture from the New York Times. You can actually see the pathway in the air of the bullet whizzing past President Trump as he speaks. This is before he realizes he's been hit, because obviously the bullet is traveling extremely fast. And so he would have heard the whiz past his ear, which, as we'll see, is what he said in his statement. The most iconic photo, though, is going
Okay. We get it.
and
All right,
define
get to the good
his
stuff.
candidacy. And there's one other thing here. I mentioned it right at the top. The attempted assassination is one of the most predictable things to happen in American public life in my lifetime. It is simultaneously one of the most shocking and one of the most predictable. Shocking, but not surprising. Why? Because the temperature has been turned up so high for so long. His political opponents have defined him as literally Hitler. And when you keep saying your political opposition is literally Hitler, who is going to...
Ben Shapiro has called college campus protesters literally Hitler. Like queer English majors in Colombia, okay? Like, you cannot be doing this right now. Like, that is... God. This is laughable, okay? Donald Trump's politics are straight up Hitlerian. They are. When a dude says... immigrants are poisoning the blood of America, of this wonderful nation, that's Hitler. Just because you, Ben, agree with him doesn't change that reality. What the f?
To take America into a new dark age, when you say that over and over and over again, you are turning up the temperature. You're turning it up. It's how you get congressional baseball shootings. It is how you get attempted assassination attempts on Justice Brett Kavanaugh. And it's how you get what happened yesterday in Butler, Pennsylvania. Again,
What is this? I care about the current situation in America in also 31. He's been saying it also 31. Okay, this guy is Turkish and really horny. That's why he keeps spamming 31.
the only person who is responsible for the actual attempted shooting is the shooter. With that said,
the reason why he's trying to say that, by the way, is because, again, this is the funniest says you moment for Ben Shapiro. And that's precisely the reason why. That's precisely the reason why he has to be like, oh, it's only the shooter that's responsible. Nobody else. Because so many other shooters have quite literally put Ben Shapiro in his manifestos, named him as an influence. You know what I mean? In the words of Chapel Roan, he is the right-wing pundit's favorite pundit, okay? As far as right-wing terrorist goes, he's the right-wing terrorist's favorite right-wing terrorist. So that's the reason why he has to be like, this is just a shooter alone. But also the Democrats are really, really, really beefing up the rhetoric, which is so funny. The Democrats are raising the temperature, dude, and not Republicans. Donald Trump's campaign policy revolves, one of his campaign promises is the mass deportation of 20 million people, okay? 20 million people. That's insane. You suck.
when you keep turning up the temperature, when you keep saying that America is going to be literally destroyed. This will be the last election. Donald Trump is the worst person who has ever lived, and he must be stopped.
Donald Trump has also personally said, if I'm not elected, America will be destroyed. Donald Trump said America has been destroyed. Donald Trump has said everything that Joe Biden has said times a million. If there's one person that has said that the most, it's Donald Trump. It's normal things to say, by the way. Okay. You're just campaigning. That's it. Like, oh, if I'm not elected, America will be destroyed. Yeah, of course, that's what you're trying to win. That's what people say when they're trying to win. And what do you say? Projection? I mean, yeah, Ben is doing projection here. But Donald Trump is also significantly more violent in his rhetoric than like even other Republicans are. He's also significantly more violent in his policies than Republicans of the past. He's just a very violent guy.
Is going to take that seriously and think to themselves, shouldn't I do something to stop Hitler? Shouldn't I? So is there a measure of responsibility borne by people who say things like that over and over and over repeatedly, never stopping, consistently, every day for years on end? Absolutely. Absolutely. So what do we know about the shooter at this time? So apparently, I don't mention the names of shooters, but this is a presidential assassin. So I'm going to make an exception here. The FBI has identified 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, as the suspect in the attempted assassination. They didn't have any ID on him. They had to use biometric markers in order to figure out who he was. They went to his home last night and they checked it out. They raided it. They brought stuff out. According to state voter records, he was a registered Republican, but this would have been the first election in which he could have voted because he was only 20 years old. However, when he was 17,
he's going to talk about I wonder if he'll bring up that he's a registered Republican. He's going to be like, in 2017, when he
made a $15 donation to Act Blue, which is a political action committee that raises money for left-leaning and Democratic politicians, according to a 2021 Federal Election Commission filing. That donation was earmarked for the Progressive Turnout Project, a national group that rallies Democrats to vote. Crooks' father, who was 53, told CNN he was still trying to figure out what happened and would wait until he spoke to law enforcement before speaking about his son. The only thing we know about him is that he graduated high school. Leaning and Democratic politicians, according to a 2021 Federal Election Commission filing. That donation was earmarked for the Progressive Turnout Project, a national group that rallies Democrats to vote. Crooks' father, who was 53, told CNN he was still trying to figure out what happened and would wait until he spoke to law enforcement before.
Wait, why did he move on
or speaking about his son? Home last night, and they were Republicans, but this would have been the first election in which he could.
He barely brings it up. He just says, he's a registered Republican, but he's never voted. This would have been the first time he would have voted. Also, he made a donation for $15.
He was 53, told CNN he was still trying to figure out what happened and would wait until he spoke to law enforcement before speaking about his son. The only thing
he also brings it up before he brings up the donation. When the timeline is when he's 17, he makes a $15 donation during the inauguration, and then he registers as a Republican. So,
we know about him is that he graduated high school in 2022 and received a $500 Star Award from the National Math and Science Initiative.
No, the $15 donation is him. It's misinformation. It's not people saying it's like an older guy, a different guy by the same name is wrong. They're wrong. It is him.
Video from the ceremony posted online shows Crooks with glasses and a black graduation gown posing with a school official, apparently. Again, law enforcement vehicles have been stationed outside the residence listed at the address on Crooks' voter registration record. They were on the scene. A bomb squad was at the residence as well. Unclear at this point what more we know. We'll bring it to you as it emerges, obviously. In terms of what actually happened, there are obviously many, many witnesses. So we're going to break this into two parts. There are the witnesses to the actual shooting and the aftermath, and then there are the witnesses who saw the shooter up on the roof, and Secret Service obviously reacted late on this. So here is Pennsylvania State House candidate Rico Elmore, who was present and explains what he saw as this went down.
I yelled everyone to get down. Everybody was getting down. Everybody was yelling, get down. I told people to get down. And then as I'm just pointing people and telling people, get down. It's safe measures. And people were listening. And then I seen...
Okay. Come on. Get to the good stuff. Like about how it's a woman that was
Ronald Reagan.
Him.
That nearly ended with Ronald Reagan's death and ended with the severe wounding of his press aide, Jim Brady. It is an insane incident. It's total. I mean, again, it's disturbing at every possible level it is possible to be disturbed. Selena Zito is a columnist who's written extensively about President Trump. She was a few feet from the president when this happened. She describes the situation. She says, I was 4 feet from the stage in a causeway with about 5 other journalists. My daughter, a photographer, was next to me. Her husband was next to her. Trump started speaking. 6 minutes later, we heard the noise. Pop, pop, pop. Some people in the crowd might have thought they heard fireworks. I knew exactly what it was. I own a gun. I looked up at the president. He touched his ear. I was shocked to see blood on his face, a smear of red across his cheek. Suddenly, he was surrounded. Everyone went down. My daughter hit the ground. My son-in-law lay on top of her. I threw my body next to theirs. Immediately, a security officer...
You got timed out because you're derailing in the midst of a presidential attempted assassination. You're derailing. And it's among many other people who have also derailed all day. So you used a keyword that caused you to get auto-modded.
On top of me. Are you okay? Are you okay? He asked. 3 more. Pop, pop, pop. I've since seen videos of what happened. People were screaming, but all I remember hearing...
I think this has stuff you didn't cover with the shooter. No, we did. We covered his background. This small, quiet, little nerd, wore a mask, even past like mask mandates. They basically, I would almost put money on the fact that I probably had seen him wear a Trump shirt or something along the lines of that beforehand, which is why it's so shocking to me. Up the Graph also said she was pretty sure that Crooks himself or one of his friends wore a pro-Trump shirt. I mean, he was what do you call it? He would always wear like hunting camo and stuff, apparently. Try to join his school's join a school shooting club. Weird thing that Americans have. Anyway, Up the Graph says she believes Crooks was transferred to the Bethel School Park District in 8th grade, and that he was a part of a class that received special instruction and often caused trouble for their teacher because of the material they looked up on the internet. They would have had videos of video games that were a little too graphic, a little too gory. Looking up rifle club, not shooting club. Sorry, not a school shooting club. School rifle club.
Political violence. They will find a way. And that last point is the big point here. Okay, we have seen an increase in political violence in this country over the course of the last 5 years, truly touching off with the riots of 2020. There were obviously riots in 2014.
Sigafoos did not recall Crooks making political overtures in class, but rather, this is from the Philadelphia Inquirer, but rather someone as interested in how government works and not trying to insert his own beliefs into it. Another former classmate did not share his view. Max R. Smith recalled taking an American history course with Crooks as a sophomore. He did recall Crooks making political statements, but they shed no light on his actions Saturday. He definitely was conservative, he said. He makes me wonder why he would carry out an assassination attempt on a conservative candidate. Smith recalled a mock debate in which their professor of history posed the government policy questions and asked students to stand on one side of the classroom or the other to signal their support or opposition for a proposal. The majority of the class were on the liberal side, but Tom, no matter what, always stood his ground on the conservative side, Smith said. That's still the picture I have of him, just standing alone on one side while the rest of the class was on the other. I mean, dude, he's literally wearing like Mount Rushmore superimposed over an American flag on his t-shirt, in his goddamn school photo. Like, he chose to wear this shirt. This is my first time watching the stream. What are your thoughts on showing pictures of people that commit crimes like this on the news? I mean, this will be in history books, brother. Like, this is not like a guy who wanted to make a name for himself by like shooting up a school. This is a dude who tried to the former president, currently running for president again. It's like, it's a little bit different, you know? Don't you think? We should probably not glorify this dude. I don't think we're glorifying this dude as is that we are trying to understand his motives at a time when hella people are just lying about his background. Yeah. It's like saying we shouldn't talk about John Wilkes Booth. Stop platforming John Wilkes Booth, please. What if there are copycats? Anyway, kid couldn't hit the side of a barn. He has no glory, Lamau. I mean, he missed, but like, that's a hard man. People are shooting at him. Like, I'm not defending this dude. I don't think he would have been a fan of mine if he knew who the f I was. You think when his Twitch username gets leaked, there's a chance he follows you? Absolutely. 100%. Do you know how many Nazis follow me, dude? Do you think that's because I myself have similar, or do you think they've stalked my entire life because they love sending me the most personalized death threats they possibly could? But yes, if he was as online as to have a Twitch account and followed me, I would not be shocked by that at all. I have a ton of far-right active hater stalkers. Anyway, yeah, he's got to be the most curious guy here. Just curious. Why did you say that every American deserved to be murdered on 9/11 and that multiple 9/11s should happen? Just curious. He's a just curious Andy in the chat if he's here. You know what I mean? You know his ass is just curious all the time. Anyway.
Were winked and nodded at by federal law enforcement. 2020 was the culmination of that. We saw political violence at the congressional baseball shooting. We've seen political violence in the attempted assassination of Brett Kavanaugh. This is a dark era. We are re-entering an era in which political assassination is considered part of the normal life of the nation if what happened yesterday does not stop. Here is CBS speaking to ER physician Dr. Jim Sweetland, who tried to save the man who was murdered. You can see that his shirt is still stained with blood.
I heard the shot.
Okay, okay, this coverage is like covering everything. I want to hear like all this other, I want to hear his actual takes.
She says, here's overhead man.
Oh, here, he's getting into the Secret Service.
There's a GoFundMe for the families of the people who were wounded in Pennsylvania. I highly recommend you go check it out. We'll drop a link on YouTube. We'll drop a link wherever we can, obviously, in terms of social media in order to raise money for the families. So what exactly was Secret Service doing? Because if you see an overhead map of the area, there's a building that is extremely close. We're talking like 150 meters maybe. Very, very close to the actual stage where President Trump was. How in the world did Secret Service not catch this? There are two questions. One is, why didn't they react faster when they saw the shooter? Because it turns out there were a lot of people who saw the shooter. Number two.
3 letters, D-E-I.
Was, why didn't they know that the shooter was up on the roof? The first question is easier to answer. Susan Crabtree over at Real Clear Politics. She says, here's my reporting on why the Secret Service did not shoot until after the shooter engaged, and some context about the House Republican investigation already underway into whether the agency's DEI policies are affecting its readiness. The blowback against the Secret Service started within the hour of the assassination attempt and continued even after Trump and others credited the agency with saving Trump's life by quickly crawling across a nearby rooftop. But a source within the Secret Service community tells Real Clear Politics the agency rules of engagement in this situation are to wait until the president is fired upon to return fire. You want to take a shot and find out the guy was holding a telescope, the source suggested? The Secret Service is by nature reactive, and you better be right when you do react or you're effed. So first of all, that protocol should probably change. If you are foolish enough to go up top of a roof and bring a telescope, then Secret Service has to do its job. It has to take preventative measures. The Secret Service protocol requires a counter sniper aware of a potential shooter to radio directly to Intel Division team to respond and investigate. In this case, the investigation may have been cut short by the shooter firing his weapon, so the counter sniper then fired as quickly as possible in return. The source praised the counter sniper who acquired the target and responded within 3 seconds, calling their performance incredible. The counter...
Dude, I love this. Ben Shapiro's like, shoot everyone on site. What does he think? Who does he think is going to get at a Trump rally if they are, I don't know, carrying a telescope? Does he think people that don't have a gun on them at the Trump rally, that simply have like cameras on them or a telescope, are going to be somehow secret Democrats? He's just advocate. I mean, sure, dude. I think so too. You're right. Everyone should be murked.
Snipers are highly trained and extremely accurate. However, that is the answer as to why it went off first. The real question is, why in the world was this person on the roof of an adjacent building with a rifle? So here is video that has emerged of Trump rallygoers shouting that they see the shooter moments before the shooting.
And you know, that's a little bit...
He's going down!
Stay under here.
So you can hear it right there. People shouting he's got a gun before the first shot fired. TMZ has actual footage of the attempted assassination. You can see him lying on top of the roof. He's almost immediately by the Secret Service. How did he get on top of the building? How did he get on top of the building? It's just unbelievable that this was even a possibility. Again, an overhead map shows law enforcement snipers on the roof of a nearby building behind the stage where Trump was speaking. The shooter was on the only other nearby building, which is extremely, extremely close to where President Trump was speaking. How was he allowed up there? There are a lot of people who are engaged in a lot of theorizing today, but that is the fundamental question. The fundamental question is, how is it that this person was able to climb onto the roof with a long gun? How was that possible? How is that possible? Speaker Mike Johnson has already announced a full-scale investigation. He says the House will conduct a full investigation of the tragic events today. The American people deserve to know the truth. We'll have Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle and other appropriate officials from DHS and the FBI appear for a hearing before our committee's AC.
Do we know how he got the gun? Yes, of course. It's Western Pennsylvania. His father legally obtained the firearm from a gun shop, one of many in the area.
This was only exacerbated by footage of some of the agents afterwards. So as you could even see in the original footage of the attempted assassination of President Trump, many of the people who are attempting to jump on him and cover him are people who are shorter and smaller than President Trump, which is a disaster area. You know, I travel with private security. I am not President Trump. I get some threats. I am not President Trump. My security, they are bigger and stronger than I am. That's why they're security. If you can't shield President Trump with your body, what are you even doing in this job? This particular video has gone viral, as well it should. It is video of President Trump.
Well, to be fair, Donald Trump is 6'3". You're a manlet. You're 5'4". So it's not that hard to find people that are larger than you. Many women could very adequately shield you with their bodies. Okay. Also, on Secret Service security detail across the board, not every single person is larger than the actual person that they're covering. Just so you guys understand, that's not how that works. There are spotters as well. They are throwing bodies at the problem, if you will. There are plenty of people that are on his Secret Service detail that are going to be shorter than him. Those guys have a different position. Anyway.
Climbing into his travel vehicle here. And as you'll see, there are two Secret Service agents standing by the car. Both of them are female. Both of them do not look like they are in particularly good shape. One of them is fumbling around to reholster her weapon, as though she doesn't know how to reholster a weapon. It looks like something out of Reno 911. It's pathetic. Here's some of the footage.
Yeah, also, Secret Service is letting his head like present significantly above the crowd there. So, and those are the men leading him. So it's not like the women are responsible. Like, he's the one who got up and was like, oh yeah.
Here she is. She's trying to figure out what to do. She reaches in. She's trying to reholster her weapon. She can't find the holster. She's not sure. Like, this, of course, is raising some fairly serious questions about what in the hell.
Dude, this is my favorite guy. I can't believe they censored him. He's just flipping off the media going, "You media, you're responsible." I love that guy.
Is Secret Service staffing? How in the hell are they staffing this thing? Well, perhaps one of the explanations for how you end up with Secret Service agents who don't know how to reholster a weapon is the fact that they have been actively attempting to DEI the entire secret.
Yes! He said it! He said it! Yo, these dumbass broads in Secret Service. Yes! That's my dude. That's my... Let's go! Let's go! DEI Secret Service. They're all gay. They're all women. They're putting lesbian women in Secret Service. It's fucked up. Men only. Sexy men. Broad shoulders. Big dicks. Going forward. Do you understand me?
Secret Service. And it turns out when you lower standards in order to achieve particular quotas, the quality goes down. There's a...
Dude, conservatives are so awesome on their messaging discipline. When they hammer in on a narrative, like when they laser focus on a narrative, their conviction is so sharp. It could be anything. Like if DEI was the prevailing narrative in like World War II, they would be like, Hitler's doing DEI. Japan is doing DEI. That's why we had to do Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It's like, it reminds me of that time. It reminds me of that time when, when abortion was being talked about, right? It was the issue of debate. It was up. People were claiming that, you know, abortion is murder, as one does, as you guys know, right? And dumbass Marjorie Taylor Greene said cancel culture when talking about murder. She said abortion is like cancel culture for a baby, okay? It's like she was so lasered in on using cancel culture as a substitute for every word that she said, you're canceling, Democrats are canceling the baby. Cancel culture, a crime worse than murder.
Damn shock. This is Secret Service head Kimberly Cheadle explaining to CBS News not all that long ago that her goal was a 30% Secret Service agency. Your goal should be protecting people like President Trump. You don't have that many of them.
To expand hiring, they're aiming to have 30% women recruits by 2030, and even allowed YouTube influencer Michelle Carre to train with agents.
But I'm very conscious as I sit in this chair now of making sure that we need to attract.
Does Ben think JFK was assassinated because of women in Secret Service too? Yes. Yes.
Diverse.
Yeah. Michelle Carre was defending the president.
That we are developing and giving opportunities to everybody in our workforce, and particularly women.
I'm sorry, that is not the goal of the Secret Service. And once again, the peculiar oddity, equity, and inclusion in which it matters.
I love taking these sorts of statements seriously. Like, liberals do this for marketing, and it's still deeply unserious. They're not going to go for like just women. They're going to go for whoever's the most qualified. Okay. And Republicans are on the other side of this argument where they also take it seriously and they're like, no, they're going to only hire women, and that's bad. Secret Service has had many fuck ups throughout time. Okay. Like, much worse fuck ups, as a matter of fact, including with JFK. And I don't think they were tasked with hiring as many women as possible in the way that Ben is, you know, in the way that Ben is presenting.
Matters more who does the job than how well they do it has consequences. Just pathetic. Okay, so President Trump reacted to this. He issued a statement, and honestly, it's a beautiful statement. He said, I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of law enforcement for their rapid response on the shooting that just took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. Most importantly, I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed, and also to the family of another person that was badly injured. It is incredible that such an act can take place in our country. Nothing is known at this time about the shooter, who is now dead. He released this quite early. I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong and that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. Much bleeding took place.
Okay. Come on.
And he's dead. And this country is forever changed in radical and insane ways. He said,
yeah, it would have, honestly, it would have been worse. Like, I feel like if he had died, if he got shot in the head and died, I think Republicans would have gone crazier than they are going now. Like, right now, they're simply posturing for revenge, and there might be some attempts. But if they actually fucking clapped him, dude, holy shit.
Says, quote, we will fear not, but instead remain.
It doesn't even matter if the dude was like, I used to love Trump. I'm a diehard Republican, and that's why I killed him, because he's betrayed the cause or whatever. I'm not even, they wouldn't care. They would be just like relentlessly attacking anyone and everyone that they think is responsible.
Resilient in our faith and defiant in the face of wickedness. Our love goes out to other victims and their families. We pray for the recovery of those who were wounded and hold in our hearts the memory of the citizen who was so horribly killed. In this moment, it is more.
They said their goal was 30% in 5 years. Doesn't that imply some male candidates won't get the job despite more qualified because they fill the 30%? No, man, that's just simply a fucking target that doesn't always mean that they're going to fucking fulfill that target, okay? It's marketing. It is marketing. You are implying in this hypothetical scenario that there are more qualified people. You are operating under the underlying assumption that like women are across the board incapable of fulfilling this role. By the way, this role that like doesn't always have to be, you know, a body in front of the president, because that's not all Secret Service does. As a matter of fact, for those of you who don't know, I don't know why Ben Shapiro's not talking about this. He's supposed to be this fucking big nerd. Secret Service isn't just tasked with protecting the president and the president's families. Okay, beyond the immediate combat positions that you have, Secret Service also protects money. They are the ones who are actually going after counterfeiters. So when they're talking about like the Secret Service, they could be putting these people in any number of different positions. Not every single person is a fucking doorbuster in the Secret Service, just like hoorah, the most brawlic fucking dude you've ever seen in your life. Okay?
Important than ever that we stand united and show our true character as Americans, remaining strong and determined and not allowing evil to win. I truly love our country. I love you all. I look forward to speaking to our great nation this week from Wisconsin.
Why does the Secret Service need to do marketing as a government position? What do you mean? You think the government doesn't do fucking DEI initiatives for the same exact reasons that like a company does? Everything is marketing. It's to say that they are quote unquote woke. That's it. I don't think you understand. Every part of the government and every company still ultimately needs to, you know, fill their ranks. And they try different mechanisms, different methods to be able to fill those ranks. They think representation politics works in that regard.
Again, a beautiful statement from President Trump in response to all of this.
Have you seen the way the military markets? Have you seen a military ad before? The military is the government. Why the fuck are they doing marketing? They spend hundreds of millions of dollars every year on that alone.
The first major Democratic politician to respond was not the sitting president of the United States. The first major politician to respond was Barack Obama, who issued a statement to media. I quote, "There's absolutely no place for political violence in our democracy. Although we don't know yet exactly what happened, we should all be relieved that former President..."
Yeah. Joe Biden is going to be speaking in the next 8 minutes, by the way.
Trump wasn't seriously hurt and use this moment to recommit ourselves to civility and respect in our politics. Michelle and I are wishing him a quick recovery. Okay, then President Biden finally made a public statement. He came out, he said it was sick, but he still refused to label it an assassination attempt after it was completely obvious. Remember, he didn't speak until about 8:15 last night, which is past his bedtime, apparently. This is 2 hours after the attempted shooting. Everyone knew by this point that there was an assassination attempt. It was on video.
Yeah, he's like, he didn't say it was an assassination attempt. I didn't like the way he said we have to do a call for unity. This makes me very angry.
The blood was evident on President Trump's face. And here was Joe Biden saying, well, we don't know. We don't know. And then he suggests we have to unify.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like...
It's like, dude, listen. Donald Trump getting fucking grazed in the ear in an attempted assassination doesn't magically put up a shield, okay? And it doesn't magically put up a shield for him in the eyes of the broader public either. There are still going to be plenty of fucking people, myself included, who despise him, okay? Who despise his politics, who despise his worldview, who are still going to be honest and open about their, genuine resentment for such a thing, for such a person, okay? I think it's ridiculous that these Republicans who only traffic in unimaginably violent narratives have the gall, the audacity, the indecency to just like sit there and be like, you better not criticize my president. He got shot at. Like, get the fuck out of here. Suck my dick, okay? Especially when like assassination attempts or fucking genuine violence occurs against Democratic elected representatives, or entire populations of people in forms of like mass shootings and whatever. And Republicans immediately rush to either neutralize it by claiming that it was actually a lone wolf that was irrelevant. It was just some random crazy guy, even though the random crazy guy literally wrote a manifesto about why he's doing it. Or even when like Nancy Pelosi's husband was fucking hammered in the brain by David DePipe, they make jokes about it instantly. Like they make jokes about it instantly. So the idea that like these guys have any fucking leg to stand on in this regard is so stupid. Okay, Donald Trump himself loved the Paul Pelosi situation. He joked about it. Donald Trump Jr. posted a fucking photo of underwear and a hammer being like, I'm doing a Paul Pelosi cosplay this Halloween. Like, come on. You did the same thing? Exactly. I do. But the difference is I am not the one being like, wow, it's time for everybody to dial it back. Like, the fuck? Yes, I did. Doesn't that literally show you that I'm equal opportunity on that regard? Like, I'm saying I made fun of the fucking Paul Pelosi situation because it was funny. I made fun of the dumbasses who claimed that this guy was like actually not some right-wing loser, but instead was like a gay lover of Paul Pelosi. Yeah. David DePipe. Yeah. The attempt to twist the Paul Pelosi attack into a broader story about supposed extremism in the Republican rhetoric, so vote Dem, is so transparently opportunistic and pathetic. Everyone can see what you're doing, Democrats in the media. It's disgusting. Yes, they should instead keep saying Paul Pelosi was having gay sex with the QAnon Republican guy who wanted to kill Nancy Pelosi. Look at Ben Shapiro. Look at Ben Shapiro back then. I'm going to retweet this. For no reason. That was in 2022, man.
Like this. We cannot condone this.
Mr. President, do you think this was an assassination attempt?
I don't know enough to... I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts. So I want to make sure we have all the facts before I make some comment.
To be fair, at this point, I think only the FBI, or not the FBI, local law enforcement had... there was only one news report about local law enforcement looking at this as a possible attempted assassination. Now, you could say that's ridiculous, and I agree, but it is reasonable for the president to say this. I wish he would exercise this level of caution when he's lying about, beheaded babies that he fucking saw. You know what I mean? Remember when he lied about how beheaded babies, he saw footage of beheaded babies? Wish he would not have done that. And demonstrated a little bit of restraint there, don't you think? Just saying.
More comments. Thank you.
Just tepid and pathetic. Tepid and pathetic. If this had been an assassination attempt against a Democrat, you know that this would be a completely different statement. by President Biden. And the reason it would be a completely different statement by President Biden is because one of the great lies that the left has told over the course of my lifetime is that heated political rhetoric is only a feature of the right. The left can say whatever the hell they want about any Republican, particularly President Trump. They can say it over and over. They can shout it from the rooftops. They can run entire political campaigns based on it and then declare that they are not answerable to reality. Hearing President Biden call for unity in this moment after this, of course, he should. He should have all along. Instead, he has run a political campaign for re-election on the basis that Donald Trump is Hitler. If you keep saying your opponent is Hitler, somebody might take you seriously.
Dude, this is so funny. He's literally doing words or violence, dude. Like, yeah, what are you supposed to do, dude? Yeah, you can't criticize the president. You can't say that, like, his overtly Hitlerian politics, you cannot say that his overtly Hitlerian politics are Hitlerian. You can't do that. Woke skull, dude. Everyone's a goddamn liberal, okay? Everyone is a goddamn liberal. Republican congressional candidate called Obama a secret terrorist supporting Muslim. Well, to be fair, at least he said secret terrorist supporting Muslim and not, you know, an open terrorist supporting Muslim. Think about that. He could have said that. That's called restraint, sweetie. Look it up in a book. Anyway.
It turns out. Here is Joe Biden. This is his speech at 2022 at Independence Hall. I said this is one of the most dangerous and fascistic political speeches I ever heard. It was Independence Hall, 2022, flanked by members of the military in the background against a blood-red Independence Hall. Here was Joe Biden. Again, this is in the lead up to the midterm.
Oh, dude, this is the speech. Oh my God, he's bringing back a deep cut. The speech behind the red banner. Oh, this is my favorite. Yo, this is literally my favorite. All right,
from elections. Before Donald Trump was even the nominee, Donald Trump had not even declared his candidacy for the presidency again at this point, suggesting that the victory of his political opponents would end democracy in America. The most irresponsible political rhetoric of my lifetime. Here was Joe Biden in 2022.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. History tells us,
and of course,
the blind loyalty to a single leader and a willingness to engage in political violence is fatal to democracy.
Why hasn't changed?
For a long time,
the event
we
doesn't
told
make these
ourselves
things
that
untrue.
American democracy.
No, he's trying to say that this is like the violent narrative and the violent rhetoric you're hearing from Joseph Robinette Biden that is responsible for why, which is responsible for why, you know, Trump got shot at, which is so funny. Because once again, I have to repeat this over and over again. Ben Shapiro's fans have actually done acts of terrorism against mosques and have directly said they got influenced by Ben Shapiro to do such things. So he's in a very weird place where he can't just like openly say stochastic terrorism is real, but he also simultaneously is trying to say the Democrats are doing stochastic terrorism. Hasan, I think that it was respectful for Joe Biden to take the ads down temporarily. He has respect for the situation. We should hold everyone to the same standard, but that doesn't mean people will meet it. He did the honorable thing, showing respect. Yeah, he's a loser. And you're also running with the loser mentality. We're talking about politics. These are bloodless demons, and you're unimaginably wrong. Okay? Wait, what? For Trump losing his life, but also one of his supporters? Do you think Trump died? Trump is alive, man. He got his ear grazed by a bullet. But okay.
Democracy is guaranteed, but it's not. We have to defend it, protect it.
How? So he suggests the answer is vote. But to untrained ears, if someone says this person, Julius Caesar, is a threat to the Senate, if somebody says that this person, Hitler, is a threat to democracy, a threat to the West, a threat to your basic freedoms, if this person becomes president, there might not.
So what do you do when there is a threat to democracy? Like there is.
I mean,
like he literally. What do you do? You're supposed to just be like, oh, you can't say anything. Fuck, it's happening. God damn it.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do? What were they supposed to do? Like, if somehow the Germans could have seen what happened coming, right, to Hitler, what were they supposed to do? Be like, oh fuck, we can't say anything. What are you supposed to do, Ben? You know what I mean?
No, you know what I'm saying.
If it quacks like a duck. You know what I mean?
It's
a duck. You know what I mean? Like, what are you supposed to do? Just ignore all the signs?
You're not supposed to call out Donald Trump being divisive and a fascist because in the future he will get shot at and survive. But you can't do that. You can't do that before. And now that he got shot, I'm going to use the fact that he got shot at as a reason why you can't do that after. Okay.
Yes.
Meanwhile, by the way, Biden isn't even doing that because he's a dumbass. What is Biden doing? The battle box. That's what Biden's doing.
I'm not asking for anybody to get, criticizing somebody, you're not asking them to get shot, okay? You know?
Trump is fundraising off of this. The Republicans are literally going, when Biden says, we beat Medicare, that actually means every Republican that's in a position of power. That's what he actually means. He's so divisive with his rhetoric. And the Democrats are the only ones who are like, yeah, we got to do a call for unity. Yeah, we got to do unity. We got to unify the ticket.
Yeah,
oh my God.
Meanwhile, Republican congressmen are saying that Biden did it.
What? It sucks that this many people look for opinions via Twitch streamers, albeit you're credible, but come on, formulate your own opinion. Stop dick riding. Thank you.
Yeah. HasanAbi, very pro-Democrat and Biden supporter.
I think he's talking to other people in the chat. He's like, be an independent thinker, Chad. Thank you. Independent thinkers rise up.
Not be any more elections. If you say that over and over and over again, why would you possibly be shocked if somebody takes you seriously? Again, only the shooter is responsible for the shooting. But President Biden is responsible for the increase in the temperature in this country to a radical degree. Here is President Biden at Univision interview, April 20, a couple of months ago.
I'm going to have...
What, in your view, constitutes the primary threat to freedom and democracy at home?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump is the primary threat to freedom and democracy at home. So if you remove the threat, then there's no more threat, according to Joe Biden, the current president of the United States. Absolute insanity. Absolute insanity.
I can't believe Republicans. This is a guy that Donald Trump started his campaign by calling Mexicans rapists and
locking Hillary
Clinton up, throwing her in prison, and now all of a sudden we're supposed to feel, like we shouldn't be able to be critical.
It's so funny that it's like Biden's statements are always so goddamn measured to a fault. Like, his statements are measured to a fault because he's a pussy, okay? That's how every fucking Democrat is. Unless he's talking about like socialism or some shit, in which case, or Hamas, or Palestinian babies, okay? He's gonna have all the smoke for those categories, all right? But when it comes to like a Republican or Strom Thurmond, for example, who was a segregationist, he's got nice words for those guys always, okay? And it's crazy that even in spite of Biden's, tepid, middle of the ground narrative where he's still like, oh, but like Trump is a very dangerous guy. He's a very violent guy. Ben still turns around and goes, did you pop that off, dude? Here's Benny, though.
And again, he didn't stop. This is a tweet from 2 days ago. 2 days ago.
He didn't stop. I can't believe he's just like running against Donald Trump, not knowing that he might get shot at. Don't you understand? You're not supposed to run against the Republican candidate because he might get shot at. Okay. 2 days prior to the shooting, he was talking about what a grave danger Donald Trump presents, as opposed to what Donald Trump says about Joe Biden, which is that he's a really nice guy. What Donald Trump says about the Democratic Party is that they're really nice and wonderful, but they just have some disagreements.
Okay, literally the day before the attempted assassination of Donald J. Trump, from Joe Biden, 7 p.m. This is in 24 hours before somebody...
Like, I don't understand this argument. Like, you're not supposed to call it out. Like, what are we doing here? I'm not even a defender of Brandon, as you guys know, but it's so stupid. I got to pee. Hold on.
They tried to shoot Donald Trump in the head. Quote, Americans want a president, not a dictator. Not a dictator. Now, let me explain something to you. Joe Biden doesn't believe that Donald Trump would be a dictator. In fact, he knows he wouldn't. He's lying. He's been lying the entire time. The Democratic Party has been lying the entire time. How do we know? Because Donald Trump was not that thing. He was already president. In fact, he exercised executive authority in ways far less far-reaching than Joe Biden has. And yet, the entire political campaign of Joe Biden has been written on the basis of the idea that Donald Trump is a singular, ever-present, clear and present danger to the very foundations of a democratic republic like the United States. Would it be a wonder, then, that someone took that seriously? It's meant to be taken seriously. It's meant to be taken seriously. I'm not saying that Joe Biden wanted Donald Trump assassinated. I am saying that Joe Biden wants Donald Trump removed from the political scene. He wants to do it democratically. He wants to do it by voting. Maybe he doesn't want to do it democratically. Maybe he wants to do it by activating his DOJ in order to jail his political opponent. But is it any wonder that an unhinged person would take those words and translate that into, I need to stop Hitler today. I need to stop the dictator. There's only one way to stop a dictator, typically.
Dude, here's a great idea. Okay, are you ready for this? Donald Trump should not behave like Hitler. Like, he literally says he wants to straight up create camps to put every undocumented migrant, tens of millions. I'm just saying.
Speaking. That way has very rarely been the ballot box. Again, this is not rare for Joe Biden. This is a tweet from June 28th, 2024. That's 2 weeks ago. Quote, Donald Trump is a genuine threat to this nation. He's a threat to our freedom. He's a threat to our democracy. He's literally a threat to everything America stands for. Literally a threat to everything America stands for. He's a cruel, malevolent, evil man, says Joe Biden. An incipient dictator who, if he wins this election, there may never be another election.
His commentary is actually spot on this point because he's right that Democrats don't actually believe that Donald Trump is a fascist, because if he was, why weren't they treating him like he was? Why weren't they prosecuting him? His analysis of Democratic elites is correct and is a large part of why Biden is hated. Wait, he also says that the Democrats are actually doing everything in their power to destroy Donald Trump by literally criminally prosecuting him. So which is it? I think ultimately, the Democrats are feckless. Okay. And that's why they are literally dialing back the narrative and the rhetoric that Donald Trump and his reelection would bring about the second coming of Adolf Hitler. And historically speaking, that actually tracks with what liberals have done in the past to Adolf Hitler. I mean, it's kind of right. It's like how Republicans don't actually believe abortion is murder. I genuinely do believe that there are Democrats who actually are fearful of, I can't believe I'm saying this. This is controversial. But I think there are Democrats in positions of power in the Democratic Party who legitimately are worried about Donald Trump winning election again. If that was not the case, they would be collectively in unison defending Biden instead of demanding he step aside. I'm not even kidding when I say that, because I've never seen Nancy Pelosi act in a way that is outright uncharacteristic of her entire career. I'm serious. The Dems you speak of are progressive. Nancy Pelosi, ranking members of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and no, these are the least progressive motherfuckers. They just legitimately are. These are people who are not progressive at all. They're people who do care about the future of the Democratic Party. However, you don't think it's more fear for their career? Certain people, not all. No, I think personally that there are people who are reading the tea leaves, looking at the polls, and recognizing that it's not just going to be a Trump second term, it's going to be a Trump second term that also calls into question the House and the Senate. And it's going to wipe out like any remainder of these institutions that are supposed to continue the country. I think the greatest analogy is Twitter. Twitter was run by a liberal, a libtard, and it had a litany of issues. It was far from the best platform. It was actually pretty dog shit in general. Having said that, however, when a rabid, narcissistic, thin-skinned, right-wing billionaire bought it and took over, look at Twitter now, okay? That's the difference between Democrats running the country versus Republicans, especially a Republican like Donald Trump running the country, okay? It still sucks, right? It still sucks when the Democrats are running the country. There's plenty of issues. As a matter of fact, Democrats running the country into the ground sometimes actually opens up the avenue for the Republican to take over. But when a Republican takes over the country, they literally fire 90% of the fucking staff. They institute some of the dumbest measures you've ever seen. They bring back Nazis. Bots run galore. It is delusional to praise Democrats so much. I have not praised Democrats even a little bit. The state of Florida is a great example of what happens when your politics is just so right-wing. I've shown Democrats a lot. I've shown Democrats a ton today. Lots of dumbasses saying no from you saying this, and they haven't followed previous elections where Dems have been complacent, opportunistic assholes that are indifferent to the outcomes and even elevate Republicans in some instances. Yes.
And then you're shocked when someone took you seriously? You're shocked when somebody took you seriously? Just last week, after the Supreme Court made what is a fairly routine decision about presidential immunity, that was wildly misinterpreted and deliberately misinterpreted by the dissent, Sonia Sotomayor, to suggest that Donald Trump might have the ability to activate SEAL Team 6 to kill political opponents. The Biden-Harris campaign put out a statement, quote, today's ruling doesn't change the facts, so let's be...
It's so funny that like this supposed constitutional conservative is less mad about the Supreme Court decision that gives God King divine powers to the president, okay? He's less mad about that and more mad about like someone dissenting against that and saying here are some of the things that would be considered within the purview of an official presidential act. And the prosecution of said acts has now been made significantly harder, if not impossible, to prosecute as a consequence of the Supreme Court decision.
To be very clear about what happened, January 6th, Donald Trump snapped after he lost the 2020 election and encouraged a mob to overthrow the results of a free and fair election. Trump is already running for president as a convicted felon for the very same reason he sat idly by while the mob violently attacked the Capitol. He thinks he's above the law and is willing to do anything to gain and hold on to power for himself. Since January 6th, Trump has only grown more unhinged. He's promising to be a dictator on day one. By the way, that is a lie. What he said is that he would be a dictator for one day, and he was joking, and he was saying it about executive orders on immigration.
Dude, it was just a joke, dude. Oh, dude, my bad. Wait, Biden was joking when he said Donald Trump was a dictator. Oh, it's just a silly prank, bro. What the? You guys are so dumb. Why would you take it seriously, dude? He's just joshing, dude. That's awesome.
Calling for our Constitution.
I like that he also then immediately admitted that he did say that.
To be terminated. Also a lie. He said that if they had terminated the Constitution through electoral fraud, then that would dissolve the country. He was saying they were the ones who were terminating the Constitution, even if I disagree with his take on electoral fraud. This promising a bloodbath if he loses. A lie. That is not what he said. He said there would be an economic bloodbath if he lost. So this is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris lying about President Trump. Quote, the American people already rejected Donald Trump's self-obsessed quest for power once. Joe Biden will make sure they reject it for good in November. And then he went on national television and suggested that if Donald Trump was made president of the United States again, he might kill his political opponents using the power of presidential immunity. He literally said that 2 weeks ago. It doesn't stop. This is the entirety of the Joe Biden campaign because he's got nothing else. 2 weeks ago, the Biden headquarters put out a tweet suggesting that Donald Trump's quote unquote Project 2025 America would look like The Handmaid's Tale. They literally took a graphic from The Handmaid's Tale and they tweeted it out of women in the red habit and the nun's hat underneath the Washington Monument turned into a cross. And Biden-Harris headquarters tweeted out 4th of July.
One of the funniest parts of this whole like getting mad about Sotomayor's dissent is that is literally what Trump's lawyers argued in front of the Supreme Court. They asked Trump's lawyers in front of the Supreme Court, if this decision happens, that means that the president could technically put out a hit on a political rival by bringing forward SEAL Team 6 as an official presidential act. And his lawyer verbatim said, yes, I believe that is possible. So it's not like Sotomayor brought this up out of nowhere. Also, 4th of July under Trump's Project 2025, like this, how is this in any way, shape, or form an unacceptable rhetoric? Yes, this tweet right here is memeing about Donald Trump's and the Republican Party's and Ben Shapiro's really personal interest in removing the bodily autonomy of women, okay? That's what this is supposed to signify. And it's correct. We're doing meme review. He's going through little memes and being like, wow, I can't believe it. It's really messed up. Also, given the opportunity, I would love for this to happen.
Under Trump's Project 2025, how many times can you say that your political opponent is going to impose a fascist dictatorship before somebody takes you seriously? How many times?
By the way, this analysis completely hinges on the registered Republican that attempted to shoot Donald Trump, doing it because he's actually a diehard liberal who is fearful of Trump's authoritarian leanings. A fact that we do not know yet, okay? We have no evidence for this. We don't. We are just purely running on Ben Shapiro's opinion. No facts, just Ben's feelings, okay? Which is, again, ridiculous. Like, maybe he did say that, okay? Maybe he's like, maybe we're going to find out his motive and it's like, yeah, he's a registered Republican who was wearing a fucking gun YouTuber shirt and shot at Donald Trump specifically because he somehow decided like America's going to be an authoritarian nightmare under his reign or something, okay? Maybe that's the case. I'm not ruling that out. But currently, as it stands, the information that we have about his background from his former classmates saying he was a right-winger, and also the fact that he was a registered Republican, it kind of moves the likelihood of this person being like a liberal shooter for Brandon, okay, a little in the less likely category.
The lies that they have told about President Trump are insane and disgusting and vile. They've always been insane, disgusting, and vile. President Trump was already president. We know that these are lies, and they keep pushing them. Joe Biden put out an ad on race just a couple of days ago in which he suggested that President Trump hates black people. This sort of rhetoric.
Why would a registered Republican try to kill Trump? Dude, I don't know. I don't know. But that is currently the information that we have about the shooter. Do you understand? They were gay lovers, I think. That's why. I think it's because they were gay lovers. Okay? I'm going to take the Paul Pelosi route and say, I think it's because they had gay sex with one another, okay? And their relationship fell apart.
Raises the temperature. It increases the possibility of free radicals. This has always been true. Here's an ad that Joe Biden just put out. And again, it is just chock filled with lies and the impression that Donald Trump is a racist, bigoted dictator would-be.
Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Of course I hate these people.
Donald Trump disrespecting black folk is nothing new. He was sued for refusing to rent his apartments to black families and called for the execution of 5.
Okay. Everything in this ad is right. Like, this is literally a video of Donald Trump in the ad. The video, I suspect, is going to show the full page ad that he took out in the New York Times. Now, the irony, of course, is, you know, Joe Biden himself in the same time frame, had more access to power than Donald Trump as a senator and was directly responsible for the crime bill, which he was the architect of, which basically, you know, took Donald Trump's words and put it to action. But having said that, regardless of that reality, these are things that happened. Also, I think Ben probably thinks the Central Park 5 also deserved to die.
Innocent black and brown teenagers.
And it's more than anger, it's hatred.
It's why Trump stood with violent white supremacists, warned of a bloodbath if he loses the next election. And
all of these things are true. All of these things are true. He did do that. He did that time and time again.
And if he's president again, vowed to be a dictator who wants revenge on his enemies. Now, who do you think that is?
Of course I hate these people.
Hey,
except for the bloodbath thing? Wait, what do you mean? No. He has said if he's not elected, it'll be a bloodbath. What are you talking about? Like, as in America will fall apart. He did say that. He literally said that. What is happening? Like, listen, I'm no fucking fan of Joe Brandon. Okay, let's go Brandon. But Donald Trump absolutely said those things. Okay, me not being a fan of he said it regarding EV tariffs. Yeah, I know. He said it would be an economical bloodbath. He has also said it would be chaos and it would be disorder and a bloodbath time and time again. I know in which context he said it. What Donald Trump is saying there is exactly in the same realm as Joe Biden saying Donald Trump is going to be a dictator. Okay, do you understand? Like, economic bloodbath also leads to real blood being spilled. Yes, but like the point is, he is exaggerating what might happen if he doesn't win the election. Okay, that's normal. That's what you fucking do when you're running for president. That's the point. He's using this rhetoric and exaggerating what might happen if he doesn't win. That is, to a certain degree, what Ben is crying about with respect to Joe Biden's narrative.
That ad came out like 3 days ago. Okay, that ad says that he sides with white supremacists, a lie. It says that he hates black people, a lie. It says that he will be a dictator who unleashes a bloodbath.
I like that. Like, you know, all of the things that Donald Trump said, don't take it at face value. Why are you listening to Donald Trump's words? Those are lies.
If he loses, a lie. All of those are lies. And they were promulgated for a political purpose by Joe Biden and by his team. Now, I'm old enough to remember when Gabby Giffords, who is a congresswoman from Arizona, was shot in a mass shooting. And the mass shooter, it turns out, was a schizophrenic, crazy person. And the entire media leapt to blame Sarah Palin because Sarah Palin had put up a list of targeted districts where people should put their money. Well, if Sarah Palin can get blamed for that, then explain to me this. How is it that Joe Biden can days ago say, quote, I have one job, that's to beat Donald Trump. I'm absolutely certain I'm the best person to be able to do that. So we're done talking about the debate. It's time to put Trump in a bullseye. Yeah, I've been told that that sort of rhetoric is dangerous. But I guess when it comes to Joe Biden, it's not dangerous anymore, I suppose. By the way, it is worth noting at this point that it was just a couple of months ago, April 19th, that Democrat Benny Thompson, ranking member of the House Committee on Homeland Security.
I don't remember anyone blaming Sarah Palin for Gabby Giffords. Am I crazy? They did? I don't remember that at all. What is this? When Giffords' opponent held a fundraiser and pitched his help remove Gabrielle Giffords from office, shoot a fully automatic M16 with Jesse Kelly. Wait.
What did it do? It was designed to deny Secret Service protection from Donald J. Trump. That was like 2 months ago. And again, all of this was mirrored by the media. 6 days ago, the New Republic put out this image on their cover. The New Republic used to be a fairly serious left liberal publication. Now it has turned into Slate.com, except for even more radical people. The cover, for those who can't see it, says The New Republic, American Fascism, in sort of the old style German Hitler font. American Fascism, what it would look like. And it is a picture of Donald Trump's face merged with the face of Adolf Hitler, with the